Riders Republic was designed to be a massive multiplayer game. In an open world, when you enjoy the US National Park with your friends and have fun and enjoy exploring the nature.
One of the challenges when we start Riders Republic was to put the variety in the games that we can find in those US national parks. If I take the example of Yosemite Valley, you have those magnificent huge cliffs, you have also the rivers that going into the forests and with all those waterfalls, so a lot of variety inside those areas. And by hand, it will take a super long time and many times to recreate them. And with Houdini, we were able to shorten this time of production and to also work at a much bigger scale that we are able by hand normally.
We realized that the amount of work that we had to do, we were definitely going to need to use some kind of procedural approach, and Houdini seemed like a good candidate for that.
So one of the specific things we did with Houdini was to ensure that we get as far as we can in a non-destructive pipeline, which is one of the strengths of Houdini. That's something we try to push as far as we can in our production, ensuring that all multiple users can work at the same time, at the same place, without a destructive workflow.
I was invited to learn Houdini and be part of that effort. And I was a little bit nervous, I'll be honest, because I've heard that it can be a pretty daunting piece of software, but I'm always up for a challenge. So I did accept, and I was so happy to do it because it was almost like, why didn't I do this sooner? Houdini would just really open my eyes to like, wow, this is the way we should be working, you know, because it's so much more efficient, it's so much more flexible. It really lets you explore things very quickly, many different workflows that you can sort of implement and prototype with minimal effort, honestly.
To create the open world of Riders Republic, we need some tools and some dedicated functionality that are very important to represent those different areas and the nature of this area.
So what they needed was to be able to quickly prototype a lot of these gameplay elements. And so one of the tools that we decided would be useful was called a kicker tool. In the context of our game, a kicker is basically a ramp, because our game's an extreme sports game with bikes and skis and snowboards. There's lots of jumps all over the world, and of course the jumps are one of the main ways to gain points and to do challenges. And being able to place down jumps really quickly and then parametrically adjust them so that they would get the exact airtime and landing and challenge that they wanted from each jump was a very time-consuming process initially when they were just placing static props. So we decided we could make a tool that would let them adjust the length, the height, the angle, even the material of the jumps. And it was as easy as just basically clicking on a point in the world, boom, a jump would appear, and then they would be able to slide these parameters around and the form of the jump would change. Now, there was still a level of guesswork because you don't, just by looking at the jump, you don't necessarily know what's going to happen. But what we were able to do is take the ballistic trajectories that we calculate in game and translate them into vex and actually integrate that into the tool itself so that we'd be able to preview the trajectory just by typing in, well, what's the velocity that do you expect the player to come at this jump at? And based on just that information, the angle of the jump and the height and everything like that, we'd be able to visualize the trajectory and they could see exactly where the player would land. And they'd also know exactly how much airtime they have, which would tell them, you know, how much trick potential that jump gives them. So you can say, well, here we want a smaller jump and here we want a larger jump, just so that they can give a rhythm to the overall run of the track and quickly have that information without having to replay it over and over. Of course, they still replayed it over and over, but it removed that many more steps. They could get that much quicker to the exact result that they wanted. So it was really cool to be able to seamlessly integrate that code with like the geometry generation and everything and have that all just happen as a package for the designers. And I think they all really appreciated having that. And I really had a good time making it, honestly. I just thought it was a really cool idea for a tool. And that's exactly where I get a lot of pleasure, where we can make something that is really useful for people and can really like help them find that magic golden nugget of fun quicker. So Houdini was really instrumental in that aspect. I really don't know how else we would have been able to put that tool together in that short period of time.
Advice that I can give to someone who will create a new pipeline with Houdini is to ensure that you do the right thing in the right order, and to ensure what is your goal. Is it to reduce iteration time, to improve productivity, efficiency? What are your constraints? And you have to build up your pipeline based on your constraints and what you want to achieve. What I'm very proud of with Riders Republic game is really how we managed to produce a beautiful world that represents nature as it is, with some interpretation, of course, but it's really enjoyable. All the players are saying the world is beautiful. And that's something we managed to do thanks to Houdini, of course, but also thanks to our talents that were able to give their emotion into the game. And players have fun. That's something we wanted, to players to enjoy the game and have fun. That's the main focus of games.